Ugh. Hey, Fright Nights. I just got done watching a movie called The Den. I. You ever have that thing where you have a lot to say about a movie or something, and then words just start failing you? God. Now, normally I don't do this kind of thing. I don't do this video log style. I usually make a bigger production out of things because, I generally do videos when I feel like I have something to say or I can get a lot of jokes out of it. And usually the movies I want to talk about are ones that I like, or find some real value in. It's something kind of awesome. You may have noticed that the last, like, 4 or 5 actual reviews have been movies I really liked. This is not going to be one of those. It's not that the movie... I'm going to tell you something. You know what the worst kinds of movies are? The worst kinds of movies are not the ones that are complete crap. They are decently made ones that do really stupid things. Let me move the mic. Okay. So. Oh, God. So, The Den. The Den is a movie. The whole premise of this movie is that it is a film that is entirely Skype chats. And the reason the movie is called The Den is because rather than using Skype, which would be something that you would probably have to get the permission of the Skype company that makes it to get, the chat thing is called The Den, and it's like a Skype chat roulette kind of deal. That was fine. The opening of the movie is really strong. It's pretty good. Okay, maybe it's not really strong, but it's definitely, it shows promise. It's a woman logging onto this thing and immediately seeing a kid who goes, "There's a monster in my closet. It's real. I could show you." That's not the plot. The plot is actually a murder mystery. Because what is happening is that someone on the Den has picked her and they are slowly torturing, they're torturing her psychologically and then going after her family and her friends. Now, I just ruined one of the twists because I went in completely blind. Now, get mad at me all you want, but that is in the description of the movie on Netflix, which I did not read until I had finished the movie. Whenever it's just woman in the first, oh god, okay, like so many of these like kind of found footage movies, the first half of the movie and the second half of the movie are like two different films, but they lead into each other. But if you were to take them separately, you probably would wonder how the fuck did we get here. All the really good found footage movies do that. You know, like you're like, oh, we start out in an apartment, but now we're like somewhere in the fucking wilderness. They do that. That's fine. That's actually one of the great. Uh, that's one of the actual great like structures to do in found footage. Starts out as one movie, gradually turns into another, to the point where you're like, whoa, how did we get here? Every time, in the first half of the movie, every time it is just woman deals with chat roulette people, movie is pure gold. It's pure fucking gold. It's great. Like, there are scenes which are really, really, really super fucking tense. There are scenes that are really goddamn funny, and you're there with the movie. Except when the plot starts to happen. The plot starts to happen when she gets messaged by someone, and it's someone being murdered on camera. The murder is not that good. You're just sort of like, all right, I know there's going to be a murder on camera, because that's probably how the movie was sold to you. So you're never going to see this. And even if you didn't, you would get the feeling that this was going to happen because of the way they set that shot up. And you're like, okay, well, this is the point where she sees something she's not supposed to see because it's a goddamn horror movie, and that's the damn premise. That effect is not that good. It is probably what actually cutting someone's throat open would look like, but you don't feel it. You don't feel it viscerally. And the thing is, there are way more extreme shots that happen later in the film that are far less realistic, but far more effective. Which is why when people are like, oh, I don't, like, oh, well, that didn't look real. I'm like, no. The problem is not that it didn't look real. It didn't feel real. There's a big difference between reality and verisimilitude. Verisimilitude is when you're trying to get people to feel like it's real. Like a really good example of verisimilitude versus reality is the book Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, specifically the book. Because what Hunter S. Thompson was trying to do was pull you into the feeling of what he was going through. He may have actually seen people turn into lizards when he was high. But more important than that, that was the sensation he felt. And as he is describing stuff that's happening to him while he's high, you feel like this is a real person describing a real feeling, even though, by his own admission, he exaggerated everything. Excuse me. So sometimes, particularly in motion pictures, they say less is more, but sometimes more is better. Particularly in horror, where you have to get that visceral feeling. Especially if the horror comes from seeing, which is going to be the case in a movie about a chat roulette Skype thing. The horror is going to be from seeing. So seeing it must be horrifying. And someone just dying of like a cut, even if it's across their throat, like it's got to feel real because we instinctively understand the difference between fake violence and real violence. Like when we see it, like for example, let's use the most horrifying example. Uh, Months ago, actually, I don't even remember how long ago it was. There was a video of a cop shooting a dog, and it was real. That happens, you feel it. But there are other, but where and you feel it in a way you don't feel it in a horror movie because it's largely bloodless, but it is so sudden and so awful. You're like, oh my God. Even if you're expecting it, even if you know what's going to happen, you're just like, oh my God. What did I just see? I don't know if I wanted to see that. And it looks nothing like a horror movie. It's just horrifying. When you do that in a movie, when you try to make it look like that in a movie, it doesn't really work. We try to make it look real for the simple reason that you already know it's fake. It's fake. You know it. You know that going in. You know, you just do. Even a 6-year-old kid is generally going to know if you tell them it's a movie, they're going to know it's fake. It might still scare the shit out of them, but it's not going to be the same. Thank God. So what I'm saying is, if someone sees that scene and goes, well, that's what would really happen, fuck you. Not the point. The point is, it's not horrifying. That's the point. So the actual murder that takes place in this movie is not, or the first one rather, not horrifying at all. It just happens. And you're just sort of like, well, if I saw that in reality, I would probably freak, but not in the movie. Because this is a movie. Because I had to load Netflix to watch it. Because I found the movie because someone had mentioned it and said I should watch it, so I did. Not so scary. So, she witnesses this murder. And she does the sensible thing. She calls the cops. This is where the plot of the movie starts to fall apart. Cops come over and are scanning her computer, and we know that they're doing this. They're loading up cop software on her machine because we're watching it happen. We see her screenshots. So we see I forget what it's called, but cop software scanning. And it's scanning for what I don't know. And she's like, oh my God, do you know if this is real? Like, what happened? And the cop is like, well, it might be. No. The cop himself says it looks real. And so she's like, well, what do we do? And he's like, now before I tell you what he says, what would you think would be the logical next move to investigate this Skype murder? Potential Skype murder. I'll tell you what your first move would be, or rather your next move. You'd call up the company and say, I need access to your records because we might have a homicide here. Because that's how it's supposed to work in real life. Instead, what he says is, well, there's not much we could do, and it might be fake. To which the main character goes, but you said it was real. To which the cop says, well, I said it looked real. To which I was like, what? If it looked real to you, the police officer, your next move is to then try to find out if it is. Because that's your job. Why not call up theden.com and go, I need access to your records. By the timestamp, it was this account with this person at this time. Because he has all that information. Because she's recording everything. You would think that if she were recording everything, it would make tracking that down real easy. Real easy. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. Yeah, but if she does the smart thing, there's no movie. They find the guys, they catch them, we're done. You're right. That's why the script has got to be smarter. It would have been real easy to go, yeah, we're calling the company, we're investigating, it's going to take some time. Okay. Because like this story is happening, this part of the story is happening within like a 24-hour period. I will buy that you can't get all that information in 24 hours because something. I'll buy that. I will not buy, well, it's too hard to look, so we won't. Even though I have all the information that I would need to investigate it. Because even though it's streaming, and they may not hold all of that video on servers, which I would buy that they couldn't, you can't tell me that the service cannot track who's talking to which account and where that account goes because it's their software that hooked that all up. There has to be a record. You want to tell me there's something wrong with the record? Fine. You want to tell me it's going to take a long time? Fine. But you can't tell me that you can't do that because I know you can. And there's no reason later on in the story why they couldn't have done that. And that's what I mean by the worst movies are the ones that are almost good. So you've got that plot hole. Which gets even worse because she then calls her, like, IT friend. Hey, could you hack into the account and see if you could figure out where this person was or calling from? You know who else has that information? If he can hack it and find it, the company has it. Because that's where you would look. That's where you would look. You can't hack for info that doesn't exist. I So basically, I have no idea what that was. But basically, lazy cop as plot device. Some movies make that work really well. Black Christmas is really good with that because it has a shitty cop who is played by, I can't remember the actor's name, and a really good cop played by John Saxon. John Saxon is the smart cop. He knows how to investigate things, he knows how to follow up, and he'll do it. But idiot cop keeps fucking him up in ways that John Saxon is not always aware of because of the way they show the police department working. Basically, wrong guys at the switchboard at the wrong time. I buy that. I buy that the department can be smart, but an individual member can fuck everything up. There is no reason this cop should not believe her enough to call the company and start an investigation. This movie is set in 2013. That's not the worst of it. Like I said, everything that doesn't deal with the actual plot, pretty good in the first half. You get to the second half, the plot actually hooks up. It starts working. The plot actually starts working despite these flaws. They start stalking her boyfriend. And you, the audience, see the boyfriend get kidnapped. But she doesn't because she walks away from the computer. The next day she starts getting these weird messages from him. And she starts suspecting something has happened. Now, you're recording everything. This person disappears suddenly. You are worried. Visibly worried. It's not like, hey, I haven't heard from him in a while. Is he mad at me? Which would have been an okay reaction. I would have bought that. But, like, she is worried. Which I also buy because she's seen something traumatic. But the entire time, I'm like, why don't you look back at your videos? Like you're supposed to be doing anyway. Because the other part of the premise is that she's recording all of this for a study. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm worried about someone because I think they might be mad or they might be going through a rough time, the first thing I do is check a chat log. But if I'm recording all that video, I probably would have checked the video. That's what I would do. Just almost out of reflex. But whatever. She doesn't. And they do a job of showing you that wouldn't have worked anyway. Because the guys, the people stalking her are like breaking into her house, breaking into her friend's house. And they do a lot of cool stuff here, there. It's one of those movies where, um, you know, in found footage movies, someone's always holding the camera. You know, like they do that here too. The thing that's different is that the guy holding the camera is not always your friend in this movie, which I thought was pretty cool. You're like, oh, she's not the one controlling the camera right now. It's the guy stalking her. Oh, that's cool. When they kidnapped the boyfriend, I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. We might be able to save this turkey. Because it did something I didn't expect. Okay. Wow me. So as we follow this investigation, immediately after the boyfriend bit, plot starts to sputter again. Because she calls the cops and goes to the boyfriend's apartment. And we see this because she's recording everything. And the cops do that thing where they're like, well, there's no evidence anything wrong has happened. But it's not like, well, we don't know what's going on. It's like, you're wasting this department's time. Which, I don't know, maybe. But if I were an officer in this situation, I'd probably go, should witness a murder. Now our boyfriend's missing for no reason. It would have been real obvious to start investigating her. And being like, is she crazy? What's going on? Because they have enough cause to go into the boyfriend's home. If they have enough, this is in California. If they have enough cause to get to go into someone's house, that means they suspect there might be a crime. Why would you go there, start poking around, and then question her veracity when she's like, my boyfriend's missing, he's not in his apartment? They come over, go, yeah, he's not here. Are you lying to us? No, asshole. No, movie. No. She said he was missing. He's not there. But she got this mysterious call from his empty apartment, which she told you about, because we watched her tell you about it. Maybe the cop is just supposed to be bad, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like the movie is trying to tell you that, oh, well, the cops have reason to not trust or believe her. Except they don't. Because she's recording everything. The record of what is happening is on her computer. It's all there. She could show them. At one point, I believe she does. You have to convince me this cop is an idiot. And they didn't do that. But whatever. I'm like, okay, maybe this is just one of those movies that where the plot sucks. There are a lot of like a way to describe it. I was ironically I was on Skype while watching the movie, and I was talking to the horror guru, and I was like, man, this movie is like a bunch of really good vines that needed the excuse of a plot to be made into a movie, because the plot is not that good. But a lot of the individual scenes are. As we roll into the second half of the film, really promising things start to happen. It gets tense. You're watching, and it turns out that like this is a group of people who fucking kidnap people and fucking start torturing them like fucking Hostile style. And that's good, because all of a sudden the character does that cool turn where they go from being totally scared and helpless to, no, I'm going to live, I am going to survive, I'm going to get out of here. They get her into, they track her down to her house, like they threaten her sister, they fucking kill her best friend, they fucking kill the cop. Eventually the cops buy that something is happening when one of them threatens her pregnant sister. And you're like, oh God, fucking finally. So they assign a cop to her house. And you watch, and a lot of the things that happen next, you can read between the lines of what's happening. And you're like, all right, I buy a bunch of this stuff. 1, there's more than one attacker. 2, God, fingers. 1, there's more than one attacker. 2, one of them is impersonating a police officer. But not the same police officer. Totally different one. And you're like, okay, all right. So this obvious fake police officer is, well, obvious to us. Not obvious to the characters. Follows her home, sees that another cop has been assigned to protect her. Meanwhile, the accomplice is doing other shit. She starts to realize she's being watched. She finds the camera that they hid in her apartment. And, they do another smart thing in this movie, which is why I'm like, God damn it, every dumb thing the movie does is aggravating because of a smart thing that it did. She gets home, the cop does not just stay outside, he searches the house. But they put a camera somewhere where he wouldn't necessarily think, because he's looking for a dude, not a camera. Because he's worried about, like, her immediate safety. This is obvious. I buy that a cop cannot find a hidden camera. But he goes through all the rooms and he's like, it's safe, ma'am. I'll be outside. You find anything, I'll be right there. Makes perfect fucking sense. He goes out. She starts realizing, shit starts happening again. She gets out of the apartment. As she gets out of the apartment, like these guys are terrorizing her again. They've killed the cop. He is fucking dead. Which I was like, you know what? I buy it. I buy that what happened was guy in a cop uniform came up to another cop, was like, hey, huh? Bam! He could get that close to fucking shoot him. kill him. I buy it. It was a little goofy that they chained him up to the door. Because isn't someone going to notice that? Because, like, her door, the door to her place goes right outside. If you fucking, and it's like in LA. If you chain someone to somebody's front door, even if that door goes into, like, a little alley, you can tell that this is an alley where people fucking come to park their cars to go back into their apartments. So you're like, well, that's a little stupid. I mean, I get that you had to show that the cop was dead, but couldn't he have just been lying there on the ground? I mean, it was a little gory, but it seemed kind of pointless. Especially considering spending the time to do that is a real easy way to get noticed. Okay, but whatever. She's caught, and then she's brought to, like, the underground bunker where they torture and kill everybody, like the girl from before, that kicks off the story, was murdered. This is where the main character does that cool turn where it's like, I was frightened, now I'm like, no, I'm gonna live. And that's done really well. You know, she's chained up to a fucking, like, heater. She is terrified. She is watching her best friend get, the computer hacker friend gets captured and killed. It's intimated that he might be in on it, but it's never really confirmed. He may have just been captured. They don't really say. Like, he is a very likely suspect to be in on it. Which is fine. Because, or rather, it is fine that they did not confirm or deny that. One of the things that's cool to do in a found footage movie is try to piece together what happened. You don't have to spell it all out because you've only got, like, one perspective. So you have fun trying to put together what happened. It's what made Blair Witch so popular. What was going on? What was this? Was it a dude? Was it actually a witch? Was there something on camera that we couldn't see that they could? You know, like, the brain goes wild, and, like, that's fine. You try to piece the movie together. Like, it's asking the audience to do a little bit more work, but that's the game of the found footage movie, to do that. So she's chained up. Sorry, got off on a tangent. So she's just chained up. And I'm thinking, okay, baby, you got this. Because they just gave you a weapon. You have a chain. Yeah, it's attached to the wall. But you've got a chain. Perfectly, guy comes in, she starts swinging that chain at the dude. I'm like, okay, good. Okay, good. Awesome. You know, she's making her way out of the compound, and that scene is kind of tense. And oh, yeah, the reason that we're seeing a lot of this is because one of the things that they do is they fucking attach a camera, like a webcam, to her forehead with a little light right here. And in a cool little detail, one of the reasons she can't just take it off, because, you know, if you go to, like, a plumbing supply or, like, auto repair thing, you can find these rings, and they're like these metal rings that are meant to attach things, and they tie really tight, and you gotta screw them on and off. They use one of those to attach this to her head, so she can't just take it off. It's on too tight, and it's metal. I like that detail. Because one of the things that I like to do when I'm in a hardware store is I think, how would I use that in a horror movie? I guarantee, like, most of the Hatchet movies, actually, most slasher movies start out that way. In fact, I know that Texas Chainsaw Massacre started that way. So that was a cool detail. I was like, okay, she can't just take it off because it's one of those metal things, and I know how hard those things are to get off of anything because they are designed to be tight as shit. So I buy she can't take that damn thing off. Her escaping the compound is the best part of the movie. It's really good, really tense. She escapes. She gets in a car, and this isn't clean, by the way. Like, she is, like, pounding dudes. There's, like, her running by people, running over guys, like, all kinds of shit is happening. It's happening very, very quickly, very fast. She gets into a car, and it turns out she's, like, somewhere in, like, the California desert, and this is not just two people, it is a group of folks who are doing this. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're going with, like, hostile via webcam. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Or I mean, Hostile did that already, but, like, we're seeing it from a single perspective. We're doing it found footage style. That's fine. I'm okay with that. They do a couple of cool things. There's one thing that they often do in a fucking found footage movie. It's the movie where you see the thing that you're just like, you're just fucked. In the Blair Witch Project, the first time that happens, that moment is the moment you're in the building and you see all those handprints. You see that, you're like, oh, you are fucked. You are completely fucked. Because while we can't necessarily always articulate why that is so horrifying, the fact is that kind of thing, seeing that, gives you all kinds of information. People have been here. They have been here for a while. They are crazy. And that's probably blood. So there's been a lot of death. So when they did that in Blair Witch, you're just like, oh my God. And the fact that, like, the girl is, like, screaming, Mike, like, that just makes everything sing. It is the moment the movie is fucking building towards. And then, of course, you see Mike in the fucking corner, and you're just like, oh, shit! Awesome. This movie has that moment, too. She's running down a corridor, she sees a light, and instinctively, she looks in. Because, dark corridor, light, she's trying to get away, but, like, she has to look in. And she looks in, and there's, like, a shop lamp, like I have, like, out in the garage to when I used to light the set that way before I got this thing. And it's there, but on the back wall, it's tile, obviously reasonably well kept, unlike a lot of the rest of the compound. And there is blood everywhere. Nothing else. No chains, no body, just fresh blood. And that's the moment you're like, oh, shit. Oh. Because you are in a dirty underground bunker. The fact that you're in this functioning, decent looking, I mean, it's still kind of grimy, but, like, well tiled. And it looks like you fucking slaughtered a cow in there. But the cow's gone. Blood. On the wall, on the floor. More than a single human being could fucking have. And I love that moment. Because you're just like, well, she stares in horror for a few seconds. And then she does what she should do. Fucking run. And that's part of her escaping the compound. Escaping the compound's great. So, but as she's escaping, she steals a car so she could drive away, and she's in an accident. And the end of the accident, she's pulled away. Black, the little finding chat thing appears, because that's a motif in the film, is a little like spinning finding chat thing appears, when shit is loading. So that happens, and then we see a woman in a nice house that we have never met before. And she's talking to somebody. There's a joke, which is pretty good. And there's a running joke in the movie about a guy with a penis puppet. Oh, and if you're wondering, hey, since it's chat roulette, do you see a dick? Oh yeah. Not just puppet dick. Like full frontal male. That happens early on. I was like, it would not have been authentic if you did not do that. Full frontal. It's there. Flop. It's flopping all over the place. It's a good moment. Oh, but now we're talking about the ending. Have you ever seen a movie where you you're like, wow, that movie would have been great if you had stopped rolling the cameras 5 minutes ago. That's exactly what this movie does. It keeps going. So you see this new woman. She's also on theden.com. And and what do you think is going to happen? She gets a message from a person claiming to be the hero, the protagonist of the film. And you know what that means by this point. Because every time in the beginning of the movie, whenever the stalkers contact her, they're using the profile of their current victim, or one of them. And so you get used to, or rather, you start to really tense up every time you see this picture of this smiling Indian girl. Red dot, not woo woo. But you see this girl, and she's smiling. It looks like a normal profile. Every time you see it, you're like, because you know something fucked up is about to happen. And so they do that with her profile. Now, this is still like a screen cap, but obviously from a different computer. So she leans in. The mouse goes over to the accept button. She hits click. That should have been where the movie ended. Right there. Credits. But no, the movie goes on. Because the movie has to let you off the hook. Because it's a piece of shit. Those kind of movies, Horror Guru, in his recent review of Black Christmas, said that one of the brilliant things about Black Christmas is that the slasher lives at the end. No question about it. And the reason they did that was so when you got home and you're going to bed, you do so with the creeping fear that the killer might be around every corner. It's why the Blair Witch was so effective. We don't see what happens to, it's Jennifer, right? Like her name is Jennifer? Like we don't see what happens to Jennifer Mike. We just know it's bad. So on the way home, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what I mean intellectually you know. Well, that was a movie. Like there's no real killer. But that part of your brain where horror really gets to you is going, yeah, but what if? Can we be sure? You're unnerved. That's what that is when you're like, I know that it can't be. But what if it is? That's the moment of being unnerved. And it's very powerful and it's awesome. You know, that's what makes you like be like, ha ha, Blair Witch, that wasn't that scary. You turn off the lights, you're like, nope, on. Turn the lights back on. No, 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 I'm not doing this. Want something to calm me down? No, no, I'm okay. I am okay staring at every shadow. Better yet, let's turn all the lights on. All of them. The car in the garage, turn those lights on too. Yeah. Do we have a flashlight? Well, you don't need a flashlight. All the house. I don't care. Start somewhere. And found footage movies can really do that. Blair Witch, perfect example. Dan, however, fucks that up. Because she clicks accept, and the next thing we see is the main character's brutal death. Now, to be sure, it is a very good death scene. It just... the scene just shouldn't have existed. It's not that it's badly done. It just shouldn't be there. And I'm like, oh, you really should have ended the movie when she clicked accept and left us with that horrible feeling like, this will continue. Because that's always cool. Oh, but no. We have the satisfaction of knowing that she died. And now this is probably going to happen to the next woman. Oh, but whatever. It was a decent death scene. Wait, why is the movie still going on? Because after she's killed, the movie continues. Oh, now I know what you're thinking. Oh, we're going to go back, and the woman who's just clicked accept there'll be a killer behind her. It's not that doesn't happen. It's that it's not the only thing that happens. Actually, now I think about it, I can't remember if that literally happens. Because what happens next fucking made me furious. So, God. Oh, God. Oh, God damn it. So the ending of this movie is that we drop the found footage gimmick, and there is a guy in a chair who has been watching the whole thing. And he's on a website. By the way, found footage gimmick is over at this point, by the way. All right. You know how you watch a movie and sometimes they'll be like, it was all a dream. Fuck you. They have found the found footage equivalent of that. It's not to say that it wasn't a dream. It's a fucking dad in the suburbs watching these videos on a website, and then he sees, hey, If you want to see all the videos, give us your credit card number. And so he does. Because you see, the problem is that we're all willing to pay. We're the monster. Fuck you. Fuck you. You want to give me that funny games ending bullshit? Fuck you. God. Oh, and there's a little kid going, Dad, what are you watching? Oh, he got caught. He's got to close the window. Meh, meh. And then the fucking end credit music is like, fuck, wow. I have never seen worse end credit music. Or heard. You know what I fucking mean. It does not fit the movie at all. It's like the whole movie's like, what, it was all a joke. Oh, we're the problem because we'll pay for anything on the internet. I am perfectly fine with a we're the monster kind of movie. Because when you get right down to it, there are really two types of horror stories. In the broadest sense, there is the monster is over there. Out there. Beyond the hills. Where those other tribes live. They are the monsters. And then there's the other one that goes, no. The monster is in here. It's in you. The monster is in you. You can be a monster. That's a much darker story. Also harder to pull off. Harder to do. This movie tries to do that by taking us out of the experience of the movie. By suddenly changing the format. And I am wondering if that is the fault of the director, the writer, or some executive that had a brilliant idea. I'm betting the last one. Oh, we know we really need to say something about society. Let's tell everyone that they're the monster who's the fucking internet. Fuck you. God. Oh my God! I was the real slasher all the time! Fuck that. Maybe I'm overreacting. I've been known to do that. But it still pissed me off. So, what did we learn today? The worst kinds of movies are not the ones that are just bad all the way through. They're not. They're movies like this. The ones that almost get it right, but then fuck it up. I looked up the director before I watched the movie and found that this was the only film he'd done. This is his first real feature. That should have been a warning right there. But there were other guys who had done great things in their first movie. And I think this director is capable of a lot more. I hope. As long as he's not the one who wrote that ending God damn it. Although, that still probably wouldn't excuse the fucking cop bullshit and not actually, like, researching how a fucking online investigation works. Or not writing your way around it properly and just relying on, oh, well, too much of this happens. No! No, not too much of this happens for the reason that this is obviously a unique circumstance. Because she's recording everything. She's logging everything. She knows everything that happened. That never happens in an investigation. That's why they go astray. You don't have that information. Here they do. It's why usually in a movie or a television show where there's like cameras everywhere, they're like, oh God, the footage is missing or the footage is damaged or they break the camera. Because if you have that, then there's no reason to doubt. It happened. But you have everything. Everything. You could have said, yeah, but to do that, we have to seize the records, and to do that, we got to go through the FBI. It's going to take a while. Fine. That would totally work. The movie happens in such a small span of time, you buy that might take a couple of days. Hell, it might take longer. But not like, oh, well, we can't even buy it. It's not even like, oh, God, this company is in New York. We can't get records from New York. We're going to have to go through the FBI. Or we're going to have to call them up and see if they'll work with us. Oh, God, we're going to get crap from fucking the NYPD. Like, oh, I'm sorry. This is going to be a real mess. Actually talk about the real problems. Because I refuse to buy that a company cannot track down that information when you have everything you need to find it. Oh, yeah, right. There was another problem. Which is, at some point, they send her a magic virus that fucking erases her computer. Which I'm like, okay, fine. But then how did we get the footage? I guess they copied everything? It would... It would be like if in the middle... It would be like if in the middle of the Blair Witch Project, someone had gone, they had dropped the camera, it went to black, and then the next line you hear is, well, it's a good thing we had that second camera, too bad we lost all that footage. Then what the fuck were we just watching? And that erasure thing adds nothing to the plot. Nothing. It adds nothing. It doesn't add tension. It's not a plot twist. It's not a complication. It just happens. It's a non-issue. The only thing it does is make her IT friend think that she's overreacting when he says, there's no way I can get the footage back. Which he keeps saying. So you're like, okay, well, maybe the guys from the den took it and made copies, which they probably did. The problem is that while he's trying to recover her drive, they're also filming. Because you watch it happen. Oh, I'm trying to recover your drive. This is a laptop. You're going to record. You're going to screen cap this guy trying to recover your drive. You're going to screen cap that. How? He's trying to recover the drive. What? It's not like the next thing we see is like, I'm sorry, I tried everything. I got your screen cap software working again, but your drive is fucked. I ran everything, every recovery software I have. There's nothing. I'm sorry. No, you watch him do this from the screen capture. What? What? He's the one operating the computer at this point. So what he did was, better turn that record button on so that I can slow the drive down while I recover it. What? And you're like, well, maybe he's in on it. But they never established that. That's only a possibility. You don't know. He could be in on it. He probably isn't. But he could be. Which, like I said, that was fine. But what is this jackassery? It's not like she's the one operating the computer and is talking to him going like, okay, now I do this, right? He's doing it. The computer expert is doing this. When was the last time? And that's what I mean. Like, one of the things I said was that, God damn it, this premise is collapsing in on itself. I was talking to Horror Guru, ironically, on Skype while watching the movie. And this is what I meant. Which is they're holding so fast to this premise that she's recording everything. We're seeing things that we shouldn't be. Because we just shouldn't be. Not because the IT guy is not going to video screen cap your screen, turn on your webcam so that you can record him recovering your drive. Why would he do that? Why would you even? It's like, oh my God, the computer doesn't work anymore. Because it shuts your computer down. It doesn't, we see it erase her files. Okay, fine. Whatever, magic virus. Whatever. But I do not believe that it's going to be one of those, it shuts the computer down, and then he has to recover the drive, and he's going to record all that. Why would he? Because if that happened to you, something happened to your computer that made it shut down, you know what your next move is? Really? You all know the answer. You try to restart the computer. And if this thing is set for her to, it just happens automatically, so that it would catch this guy doing it, recovering her drive, there should be a scene where she restarts the computer. It's just like, oh shit, dude, you got to get over here. I think all my files are gone. You got to do something. We would see that. Or something like it. But no. Shut down. Well, recovery software can't find nothing. Why is the camera on? Why is the camera on? I know it's so that we can see that. I really hope that a lot of these were executive decisions. I really hope that they were things that couldn't be avoided for one reason or another, rather than the director and writer didn't think of it. Because there's obviously a lot of good things about this movie. But it made me so angry. It made me so angry when it did stupid shit. I don't want to just blame the director. That ending feels like fucking studio bullshit. They may not even have told him that they filmed that. That happens. Because when you get right down to it, it would explain why all of a sudden the format of the film changes. Why it's no longer found footage. But I don't know if that makes up for the fucking deficiencies in the way the cops handle things. And the way... A lot of this really comes down to, well, we don't really know how computers work. You could ask someone. Like... That... It's 2013, guys. You could have gotten away with that in the 90s. Hell, I would have believed it back in like 2005. But it's 2014. Law enforcement has caught up to the point where they will attempt to get records on suspicion of child pornography. So when the cop believes something is real, because he said so, it's not like, well, this could be fake and we have no idea of finding out where this is coming from. I'll do it, we'll start an investigation, but that's about as far as, it's all we can do. No. Oh, this looks real. I better not do anything. What? Then why did you... What's the point of that? What's the fucking point of that? Wait. I know one of the things that's going to get harped on is the fact that not everyone knows how law enforcement works, or how that type of law enforcement works. That's not an excuse. Not for something like this. Not when your whole goddamn premise is online. You gotta know that shit inside and out. It's the premise of your movie. And you just relied on that old trope, well, this kind of thing happens every day. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, because the premise of the film creates a unique fucking situation. Your amount of evidence for this is incredible. You have every reason to investigate further. Every reason. You know what worked about the way the cops worked in Inside? Not a found footage movie, by the way. Inside's a really good movie. And she has problems with the cops. But it's not because they're incompetent or disinterested. It's because there's a riot going on outside. And they've literally got bigger problems than one person. But they still care. They've just like, oh shit, like, oh, well, fuck. They're throwing Molotov cocktails out there. You know, there's that feeling of like anything that the cops might not be paying attention to, that maybe they should, is because outside is a riot. There is no reason for this guy to be like, huh, here's the video, here's the chat log, here's the time date stamp, here's everything. Nope. Happens too often. If only I had more to go on. He loads cop software onto the thing to collect the information. We see it happen. This movie just fucking pounds its dick in the dirt. The Den. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, God. I could forgive that whole cop thing if it wasn't for that ending. I really could. I could really overlook it. I could be like, yeah, the cop stuff is a little weak, but man, that movie's an amazing ride. But no. They got a fucking shit, take a fucking gigantic diuretic fucking shit on your fucking face. I hate those endings. Oh my God, you're the monster because you're watching. Fuck you. That's why I hate funny games. You're gonna call us monsters for watching. Why'd you make the movie? Assholes. God. Oh. Well, Fright Nights, I think that's about it. Working on the new actual episode. Probably be a couple of weeks. For those of you wondering if the woman is coming, it's not the next video. It might not even be the one after that, but it's coming. I just ordered the international copy of The Woman, which came out late last year, because it has the director's commentary on it. It is the only version of The Woman that has a director's commentary. I cannot wait. That's going to add so much to the video, which is one of the reasons I'm like, no, fuck. Hold the reins. No. We're not filming a damn thing. All writing stops until I hear this director's commentary. So that's going to happen. Don't worry. I know it is one of the most anticipated videos that I have. One of the most anticipated ones. It's happening. But until then, well, actually, I'll see you next time. You guys take care. Oh, and the den, 5 stars, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.